So today I'm going to be showing you how to make this crochet beanie. This is a yarn that I use, and I'm going to link it in the description down below. And I actually used less than 100 grams to make this beanie, and this is a worsted 4-weight yarn. And I'm also going to be using a 6.0 millimeter hook, and then you're going to need some scissors and a darning needle. So we're going to start off with our slip knot, and you're going to chain an amount to where it reaches 11 inches. I'm not sure of the exact stitch count that I've used, but just chain an amount to where it reaches 11 inches. And with this pattern, the stitch count does not matter. And when taking that measurement, you also want to keep in mind that the yarn stretches. So the more you stretch it, the tighter it's going to fit on your head. And then the least you stretch it, the beanie's not going to be stretched as much. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do 1/2 double crochet into that first chain. And then we're going to do a single crochet into that following chain. And that's basically the whole pattern. So you're alternating between a 1/2 double crochet and a single crochet all the way down. But once we get to the end of the row, I'm going to show you how to start off the next row. But the thing with this pattern is I originally thought I was doing the moss stitch, and the moss stitch is just a 1/2 double crochet alternating with a slip stitch. And after I created this pattern, I realized that it wasn't the moss stitch, and I still haven't figured out if there's a name for this stitch. But yeah, that's just a little backstory behind this pattern. But this pattern is very beginner friendly and easy to follow, and this is basically the whole pattern. So I'm just working a few more stitches until I reach the end of the row, and I believe I'm going to end off with a single crochet. Yeah, so I ended off with a single crochet, and depending on what you ended off with, you're going to do the opposite for the next row, and I'll explain after. But I also want you to take this measurement as well, because sometimes it can get shorter or longer. So I like to measure it again and make sure it's still 11 inches. But for the next row, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. And since I ended off with a slip stitch, I'm going to start off with a 1/2 double crochet. So if you ended off with a 1/2 double crochet, you're going to start off with a single crochet. So this is basically the whole pattern, and you're going to do this until you reach 22 inches in length. So the dimensions are 11 inches wide and 22 inches long. So you're just going to keep repeating this pattern until you reach 22 inches. And remember to stack the 1/2 doubles on top of the single crochet, and then stack a single crochet on top of the 1/2 doubles. And I'll meet you back once I've reached those dimensions. Okay, so this is what it should be looking like so far, and you don't want to fasten off just yet. So now what we're going to do is fold our beanie in half, and we're going to fasten off. So we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to leave an extremely long tail, long enough to where we have to sew the sides up and then also cinch up the top. So I like to leave a really long tail. Okay, so after we cut our tail, we're going to pull through our yarn to fasten off our beanie. Okay, so after you fasten off, you want to see which side you want to be the wrong side or the right side. They both look similar, so I think this part really doesn't matter, but you want to line up your beanie because now we're going to sew up the sides. And so we're going to thread our darning needle. And I'm gonna do the whip stitch, so I'm gonna go through that first stitch and then also go through the stitch on the other side of our beanie. And then I'm just gonna pull my darning needle through. And you're just gonna repeat this all the way down. And I'll meet you back once this part is done. Okay, so we're coming up at the end, and if you can see, that first panel is a little bit longer than the back panel, maybe because I probably missed a few stitches. So if yours is the same way, then you're probably going to have to go in those stitches more than once to line it up. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm actually going to go in more than one stitch on that back panel so it lines up. And just by doing that, you can see that it's starting to line up again. So once we get to the end, we still should have a long enough tail to cinch the top, but you can see this is what the seam looks like. It's very seamless. That's why I chose to do it this way. But yeah, we're about to cinch up the top now. So we're just gonna take our needle and then we're gonna weave in and out at the very top of the beanie, and we're gonna do this all the way around. But I will say, when you get to this part and you notice that your yarn, you have enough yarn to go all the way around, I recommend cutting some off. But if you're unsure, I'll just leave it. But I know it's a pain sometimes to, keep pulling the extra long yarn through. So if you do feel like you have enough yarn, I would trim a little bit off. And I'll meet you guys once we get back to the beginning. All right, so I'm finishing up the last few stitches, and so we made it back to the beginning. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pull that tail tight, but not tight enough to where it, rips. Because I did have that happen to me before. So just pull it tight, but be careful. And that hole is going to become smaller. And if it still has like a hole in the middle, like how mine does, then we're going to have to sew it shut. So I'm just going to take my needle and I'm just going to pick random places, random stitches, and insert my needle and just close up this hole. There's no wrong or right way on how to do this, but you're just going to do this until the hole is fully closed. Okay, so when you think you're done, I like to flip mine inside out just to make sure I fully close the hole up and it looks good so far. And then you can decide what side do you want to be, the inside or the outside, because usually one side looks better than the other. But yeah, so you want to weave in the ends on the wrong side. So I actually ended up like closing it even more because I think I saw some more holes. So I'm going to do that a few more times. But the way that I like to end it off is by tying a knot, just to make sure it's extra secure. But once I've closed up everything and I'm 100% sure that it looks good, I'm going to end it off with me tying a knot. But basically, I just find any stitch and insert my needle, but also make sure to pull tight as well. But to make a knot, I just insert my hook into a random stitch and pull my needle through and then catch the loop on my finger and then put the needle back through that hole and make a knot. I thought I did it on that one, but I think it's this one that I do it on. All right, here's how I make the knot. And this part is optional. You can just weave in the ends like normal and it should be fine. But just for a peace of mind, I like to tie extra knots and do extra weaving in just to make sure the project doesn't unravel. So after you do that, you're just going to weave in the ends and that completes this project. So if you enjoyed this tutorial, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you recreate this beanie, be sure to tag me on Instagram. I would love to see how yours came out and stay tuned for the next tutorial. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.